Hello there. Do you teach beginner and low-level adult ed English language learners? Do you need them to demonstrate measurable learning gains on the CASAS test? Are you unsure about how to prepare your students for the new CASAS test, CASAS STEPS? Well, then you're in the right place, because in this video, you'll see how using Venture's 3rd edition is the best way to prepare your students for success on the CASAS STEPS test. First, we'll look at STEPS. What is it, and what does it measure? What are the English Language Proficiency Standards? What about the CASAS Competencies and CASAS Content Areas and Task Areas? Then we'll look at how Ventures is aligned to STEPS. We'll see how Ventures teaches students all the skills required to meet the English Language Proficiency Standards. How Ventures covers CASAS Competencies in every single lesson, so students are familiar with topics like interpreting and completing job applications. And how Ventures prepares students for test day by modeling the kinds of content areas and task areas they'll encounter when they take the STEPS test. The CASAS STEPS is the new CASAS test for adult education ESL students. STEPS isn't a life skills test, but a way to assess literacy and academic skills in the context of common adult situations. CASAS STEPS will replace the CASAS Life and Work tests. What do you need to know? CASAS STEPS has 5 levels. The increased number of levels is intended to make it easier to report your students' measurable learning gains. STEPS offers 2 types of tests, STEPS Listening and STEPS Reading, is available in both print and digital versions, is based on the English Language Proficiency Standards, covers the CASAS Competencies, and the CASAS Content Areas and Task Areas. This means that to prepare your students for STEPS, you'll need to be sure that your classroom material is aligned to the same standards. So, what are the English Language Proficiency Standards? The English Language Proficiency Standards for Adult Education, or ELP standards for short, have been designed to help Adult Ed ESL programs at all levels move from simply teaching life skills to promoting college and career readiness in line with the expectations laid out in WIOA. To help programs meet the goal of college and career readiness, the ELP standards spell out the linguistic support and the English language skills that adult ESL students need in order to achieve the more rigorous academic content standards required for college and career readiness. There are 10 ELP standards in all, covering reading, listening, speaking, writing, and language. In terms of the test itself, the STEPS Listening and STEPS Reading tests only assess students on those ELPS competencies that pertain to listening and reading. Ventures covers all the ELP standards in depth and integrates them into every level of the course. Let's take a look at a sample unit and see how Ventures covers the ELP standards for listening and reading. Here's Unit 8 from the Level 1 Students Book. Let's look at Lesson A. Lesson A focuses on listening skills and features a series of activities that perfectly align with the ELP listening standards. ELP Standard 1 requires that students be able to understand what they hear. For beginning level students, this means being able to identify the main topic, identify key words and phrases, and being able to retell the key details of what they've heard. Notice how well the exercises in this lesson cover ELPS 1. In Exercise 2A, students listen to the conversations and identify the main topic. In Exercise 2B, students listen to the conversations again and identify the keywords, in this case, dates. Then, in Exercise 3, students are asked to use what they have just heard. Now let's look at Lesson C. Lessons B and C in Ventures are the grammar lessons. Here is Lesson C. We can see again that the activities perfectly align with the ELP listening standards. ELP Standard 2 is covered here. ELP Standard 2 requires students to be able to exchange information and ideas in various social and academic contexts. For beginning level students, this means being able to listen and respond to simple yes, no, and WH questions, and being able to listen, respond, and keep a conversation going. Notice how Exercise 2 does exactly this. In Exercise 2A, as the students practice grammar, they hear and respond to simple yes, no, and WH questions. Then in Exercise 2C, students hear and respond to simple WH questions and then keep their conversations going. Now let's take a look at Lesson D, the reading lesson. There are 2 ELP reading standards covered in this lesson. Notice how Exercise 3 covers ELP Standard 1 again, this time for reading. In Exercise 3A, students have to read and understand key ideas. In Exercise 3B, students have to retell the key details of what they've read. Exercise 3 also satisfies ELP Standard 8, which requires students to be able to recognize the meaning of frequently occurring words and phrases as they read about familiar topics. Another way Ventures aligns to STEPS is in its coverage of the CASAS competencies. STEPS is built on the CASAS competencies, and the good news is so is Ventures. The CASAS competencies have been woven into the Ventures syllabus and are covered in every lesson. Let's look at a sample unit and see how thoroughly Ventures covers the CASAS competencies in preparation for STEPS. Let's look at Unit 8 again. The title of Unit 8 is Work. Therefore, it's not surprising that the majority of the competencies covered in this unit have to do with the CASAS competencies in the area of employment. Lesson A introduces key vocabulary and practices listening skills. The competency being covered here is Identify Common Occupations. For example, server, busperson, and cashier. Lesson B and C present and practice the unit grammar. In Lesson C, the grammar focus is using can to show the ability to do something. This lesson recycles the unit vocabulary occupations and then covers another employment competency, identifying common occupations and the skills required to do them. This perfect combination of grammar and function contextualizes the language by relating it to the students' real-life situations. Lesson D practices reading skills. Here, students meet someone looking for a new job and read an email of recommendation. 2 more employment competencies are practiced here: interpreting work-related correspondence like emails and identifying appropriate skills in education for keeping a job and getting a promotion. Lesson F contains an additional reading with a life skills focus. Here, students read and answer comprehension questions about an application for employment. 2 more employment competencies are covered here: following procedures for applying for a job and completing job applications, and responding appropriately to common information questions. As you can see, Ventures covers the CASAS competencies in depth, ensuring that students are learning the essential life skills they need to be functionally competent members of their community, their families, and the workforce. This unit is an example of how Ventures covers the employment competencies. Other units in this student's book cover additional competencies, such as basic communication, consumer economics, and health. We've seen examples of how Ventures aligns with STEPS in terms of what it covers, the ELP standards and the CASAS competencies. Now, let's take a look at how Ventures aligns with STEPS in terms of how the activities in Ventures prepare students for the experience of taking the test. Ventures is careful to shape the activities in the student's book so that they align with the CASAS content areas and task areas. Content areas are the kinds of activities that STEPS uses to assess students' listening or reading ability. These are vocabulary, identifying high-frequency words in pictures and in spoken or written texts; numbers, showing an understanding of time, prices, dates, etc. Main idea, identifying the main idea of something they hear or read. Details, retelling the details about something they hear or read. And dialogue, listening to or reading a conversation and then supplying the next line. Task areas refers to the format of the individual test items and how they will appear on the STEPS test itself. Giving students opportunities to familiarize themselves with these task areas is vital to preparing them for STEPS. Again, these familiar tasks appear throughout ventures. Reading task areas include forms, charts, articles, signs, product labels, and diagrams. Listening task areas include picture prompts, comprehension questions, predicting the next line of a dialogue, and identifying true statements. In other words, there are activities in ventures that have been designed to look and feel like the ones the students will see on STEPS. This is crucial for preparing students for success on the test. Here are just a few examples of how closely the activities in ventures mimic STEPS and how well ventures prepares students for what they will see on the actual tests. Lesson A covers the content areas of numbers and retelling key details. These activities feature picture prompts and comprehension questions like the test items on the CASAS tests. Lesson C, Activities 2 and 3. Lesson C covers the content areas of high-frequency vocabulary, dialogues, and conversations. Here the activities use picture prompts and ask students to complete conversations like those on the tests. Lesson D covers the content areas of high-frequency vocabulary with photos and pictures and finding the main idea and details. The activities resemble those on the steps by using a common form, like an email, and asking students to identify true statements. Lesson F covers the content areas such as numbers, key details, and high-frequency vocabulary. The activities use a common form such as an email and ask students to identify true statements. Students interact with the form, which is something they will have to do on the test. So far, we've seen how Ventures prepares students for success on CASAS STEPS through its in-depth coverage of the English Language Proficiency Standards in every unit, its correlation to the CASAS Competencies in every lesson, and the inclusion of the CASAS content areas and task areas throughout. But there's one last point. In addition to preparing your students for success on the STEPS test, it's just as important to ensure that your students keep coming to class so they'll be there to take the post-test. That's why Ventures places such an emphasis on building a sense of community in class and boosting student engagement. Ventures is packed with community-building activities designed to increase engagement and spark personal interactions between teacher and student, between students in the classroom, and between students and their community. Ventures' communicative approach includes pair, group, and whole class communicative activities in every lesson of every unit. These build important soft skills such as communication, teamwork, and interpersonal skills, while deepening relationships between students and their teachers. By developing these soft skills in context, students get to see themselves succeeding in their interactions around activities that resonate with their own personal goals and challenges. Ventures' careful language control, scaffolding, and clear design give students the support and confidence they need. This leads to increased levels of motivation and participation, facilitating student learning, student engagement, and ultimately, student retention. Communicative, community-building, supplementary speaking activities are available as teacher resources to add variety and help teachers keep things fresh. There are collaborative worksheets for each lesson to develop cooperative learning and community building within the classroom. There can be pair work, group work, or whole class activities, and they provide a fresh way for students to reinforce what they've just learned. Multi-level worksheets are designed for use in multi-level classrooms, where the proficiency level of the students differs. These offer additional practice of the language and unit topic, taking the learning off the page and into the classroom through a variety of fun pair work, group work, and whole class activities. Project worksheets, one per unit, give students the opportunity to work together with classmates on projects related to the unit topic. Because Ventures so thoroughly integrates the ELP standards and covers the CASAS competencies, you can have confidence that your students will be learning the English they need to succeed academically, move ahead in their careers, and participate fully in their community, all while preparing for success on STEPS. And because every lesson of Ventures invites students to engage in real communication around topics they care about, have fun, and build community as they learn, you can be confident that your students will want to stick around for that all-important post-test. To download the correlation showing how Ventures is aligned to the ELP standards and CASAS competencies in every lesson, go to cambridge.org/ventures/CASAS/correlation. To get in touch with your local Cambridge representative, go to cambridge.org/ventures/contact.